And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Joe Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm here along with my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, the leader of all humanity media. It's Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
What up? Just doing some podcast, talking pop culture, editing, just staying up all night, not sleeping, jacked up on monsters.
There you go. He's wired to the gills. I tell you, we are ready for another packed show today. It's a great pleasure indeed to be on with you today. We truly appreciate it. It's the PCC Multiverse, one of the top 10 shows right here on the Podcast Radio Network every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And we also, if you don't, if you are not able to catch the show, or the Pop Culture Cosmos show when it hits the Podcast Radio Network, that's okay, because we have it available for download on a numerous array of podcasting channels. I'm going to go down the list real quickly for you right now. Starts off with, of course, iTunes, Mixcloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast.com. We've also got Google Play, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, TuneIn, and the Gunna Geek Network as well. And our latest edition, we want to welcome again the ACE Podcast Network, which I've got pretty much down pat because I just did 32 promos for them. Actually, we just did 32 promos for them. It's just a great pleasure to do it for all the great programs, and we definitely appreciate being part of their networks indeed. So that, again, if you get a chance, download our show at any point in time, and you'll get a bonus podcast from Humanity Media, or Rob McCallum Films, or Game Source, or Wine, Women, and Words, just because we appreciate you actually downloading the podcast each and every time you do so. So we got a great program lined up for you today. We also got a great song coming from Plasma Z. And Josh, I know we're going to play some clips later on from What About This, but also what's coming up this week with Humanity Media?
Yeah, just more of the same. I'm kind of not doing so well keeping up on everything. So,
but I thought you were loaded up on monsters.
I am loaded up on monsters, but you know how I get sidetracked. I got that article up that everyone can now read.
That's available on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. What is it all about? I've only seen it a couple times, and it's actually a great read. But let everybody know we've got a great article up there from you. What's it all about?
The article is about depression, suicide, anxiety, 13 Reasons Why, and Chris Cornell. I know it's a long title, but give it a read. It kind of ever since we did that episode of What About This, where we're talking about 13 Reasons Why, suicide, depression, all that stuff. People keep asking me to elaborate on my thoughts, and originally I wasn't going to, and then I came across this blog on the internet a couple weeks ago that was written by a nutritionist with a bachelor's degree somebody with a bachelor's degree in nutrition with no history of mental health, and she's trying to tell people how to get over depression. So I was like, it's time I just threw some knowledge out there. So I finally did it. It's up there at Pop Culture Cosmos. It's very, probably the most vulnerable piece I've ever written. So give it a read. Let me know what you think. And, this week you will have a brand new Topicocalypse coming at you and a new Super Bro Station. I know I've fallen behind on those, but and you can also check out the latest episode of What About This, available on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Overcast, YouTube, Facebook. Just check it out. It's all over the place.
Absolutely, indeed. And also you can catch this show and the Pop Culture Cosmos show on our YouTube channel, the Pop Culture Cosmos YouTube channel. And I've almost forgot, Overcast.fm has also the iTunes feed for our shows as well. So again, it's going to be a great broadcast today, but our main story, well, it's got to be this week. I guess I'm calling it the most important movie of 2017. It's Wonder Woman. It's coming out this weekend. There's a lot of back and forth in regards to the picture itself, how important this film's success is to the DC franchise. exactly how important it is to Warner Brothers as a whole and their superhero aspirations going forward, how important it is for the Justice League coming up later this year, how important it is for as far as women in a role of this stature. Also, a female director, because a female director was responsible for creating this film. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm very eager to see this film, because it looks like it's a winner on all bounds. It's garnered very strong reviews, very very solid reviews, very strong reviews out there that are just giving it really really solid praise across the board. Gal Gadot, uh, for the most part, is getting good reviews as well. It reminds me a lot of when Jean-Claude Van Damme and also as well Arnold Schwarzenegger really started to hit those roles as with them at the forefront.
Wait, real quick.
Well, hold on. Let me because they have accents as far as they're still trying. They speak fluently with the English language, but they are still with their accent. There was still some question I could see. I know with both Jean-Claude and Arnold, when they both hit as far as become mainstream actors, there was always a question whether or not they could translate their charisma to an audience, especially here in the U.S., even with their thick accents. And Gal Gadot, even with her accent, because she's from Israel, still does an amazing job in as far as that's concerned. So am I wrong in saying that?
Oh, no. Sorry. I thought you were going a different direction.
I'm saying the parallels because her becoming a top star in this industry. This is obviously a marquee role. Yes, as a woman, yes, but also as a woman who has, like I said, an accent that it's there. It's not going anywhere. She doesn't try to hide it like she has in some other roles. She's very upfront with it. And even though it differentiates itself from the rest of the characters that are being played, like Robin Wright and whatnot, where the Wonder Woman's ancestors are from, and her cohorts and whatnot, and all of the Amazon women, I should say her accent is different. Obviously, it's different from everybody else's. So it doesn't matter, because it looks like, for all intents and purposes, her role is being praised, and she's garnering herself a nice role and a nice part in the film as far as it's concerned, and possibly as a strong candidate to lead a lot more films, not just in the DC universe, down the road as well. So I mean, I see her now as becoming, if this movie does very well, not only is it extremely important for Warner Brothers, extremely important for DC, but also for her career long term, as well as her becoming a major player in Hollywood. Your thoughts on Wonder Woman, Josh? And do you really think do you really think it's the most important movie of 2017?
Yeah, it's definitely the most socially socially conscious. That's what I'm trying to say. Movie of 2017. I think it's going to do great things as far as bringing more female directors. And I know it wasn't Black Panther. Doesn't that have a female director too?
No, it does. I think it has an African American director, but it does not. I don't think.
Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel, I believe, does.
So I think that Wonder Woman is going to actually pave the way for more of what we're seeing. And from what I understand, it's doing really well. Like it's really well received with critics. It's got a 100% or a fresh rating from Rotten Tomato, and that's nearly impossible. So the reviews are in.
Right now, it's at 94%.
Yeah, and they said it's guaranteed fresh. So it's one of those like, hey, if it's getting praise from Rotten Tomato, there must be something to it. But it's weird because I read today that they are not showing it in certain parts of the Middle East just because she's Israeli.
In Lebanon, they have banned it because she is from Israel. Even though previous films she was in, like Batman versus Superman and whatnot, that was allowed. But I guess because she is at the forefront of the film, it's not being allowed to be shown in Lebanon.
That's stupid. That is absolutely ridiculous.
And then
I
just to let you know, Captain Marvel is being directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as like female directors and female superhero movies, of course, we want to see more because there are a lot of really interesting female characters.
As
Um,
far as the what you were saying with the actual ban in Lebanon, I mean, this goes back. That's an issue that's been going back longer than you and I have been alive. So let's just put it that way. So
yeah. But I mean, it's just I've been seeing a lot more about like because I was reading earlier about Radiohead or people heckling Radiohead for wanting to do concerts in Israel and that like it's just like them or don't like them. Everyone's worthy of getting valuable entertainment. That's my opinion on that.
but do you mind that I made that characterization of her career being somewhat of a parallel today to the 80s Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger, because first off, I mean, their careers, especially in the early part of the careers, could because their accents were even thicker at that point in time, I should say, if you watch their early films as opposed to later when it became, I guess, I don't want to say more English based or anything like that, but it became a little bit more distinctive as far as people understanding exactly what they were trying to correlate. And Arnold these days, I mean, he's Arnold. He's become a film and movie icon. So, I mean, did you see the parallels between that and her as far as being able to break through any barrier as far as that's concerned with her, accent and whatnot?
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I thought that you were trying to convince people to go see Wonder Woman based on Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jean Claude Van Damme
No,
movies.
but go based off the fact that she's getting very solid reviews for the most part, and that this is a very, very, very highly and strongly recommended movie. I've got tickets, just like probably many other people this weekend that's going to check it out, and I can't wait to share my thoughts on the next episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos show as well. So, I'm just seeing her career pattern in the same fashion as theirs. I may be wrong on it. I may be off on it. If you have any thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, or let us know, or let us know Facebook, to be Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, or Game Source as well. I mean, that's up to you, but that's just the way I see it, and I'm definitely wishing her, the director, and the entire team all the success with this movie. But when are you correlating it? What does Wonder Woman need to do to make sure it does what it needs to do for the DC franchise?
It it just needs to be a story that people like, something that that has heart, and the studio doesn't do what they did with Batman vs Superman. It's going to be cool because if this movie is financially successful and critically successful as it already seems to be, not only is it going to shape the future of the DC universe, but it's going to be shaped by a female director and a female or you're an actress, if you will, and they've kind of built the foundation, and it's a monumental achievement, honestly, because they're bailing a sinking franchise and they're just setting the standard for what it's going to be going forward. So,
and they're banking it all on a lot on this film. Yeah, Justice League's there, but as we've talked about, due to recent things and whatnot, Justice League is not being counted upon as much as this film, right smack dab in the middle of the summer.
right. So, I mean, hey, this is exciting. This is a good time for this type of thing. So, I mean, I'm really stoked to see it. Hopefully, I'll see it before the weekend's over. But yeah, this is a great time, and DC's future movie slate is kind of messy right now. I don't even think they know what's coming up, but this could really set a standard. Like it might give Marvel a run for their money. We'll have to see.
And then, because like you said, it's all over the place. Cyborg is being thrown all over the place. Aquaman is now being considered and moved up as far as a film that they think might do strongly because of Jason Momoa. There's the Flash. Nobody knows if there's really going to be an actuality a feature length film, or if it's just going to be something he's going to stay just within the Justice League universe. That kind of, like you said, is up in the air. But for me, it also sends a sign if Wonder Woman really does well for the Marvel side of it. Yes, not only does it bode well for Captain Marvel, but it could bode well for fans, as we've said before, for Black Widow, as far as possibly finally seeing a film centered around her and her exploits, which would be just a tremendous pleasure to big fans of Black Widow out there, like my girls and whatnot. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping Wonder Woman does really strongly. I'm just very pleased to see the good thoughts and good reviews so far on it. What are your thoughts on Wonder Woman when you check it out? Are you excited to see it, or if you do get a chance to see it this weekend? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was strong about it? What was not? How was Gal Gadot? Do you think she's the person and the individual that's going to be helping to lead the DC movie franchise going forward? Send us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, plus also as well Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So before we go to another great song from Plasma Z, Josh, I just want to ask you real quick, with so much on the line for Wonder Woman, how much do you think it needs to do domestically and worldwide in order to basically deem it a success and a success for the DC movie franchise?
I don't know. I don't know what the budget was or what the box
budget
office.
is reported around 150.
150. I mean, I would assume it would 300 to 400 million would be like a success to them, because I mean, I think it's definitely going to do that. But I mean, as far as like getting a return on your money and also paying for all the marketing materials, I would say that would be a decent number, in the first couple weeks, and then going. I think it's going to do a lot better than that, but well, we'll have to wait and see. I can't give any predictions because I don't know. I don't have the information in front of me about like what the other DC movies have done.
Well, I can tell you firsthand that almost all the recent ones, Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and Suicide Squad, all did between basically $300 and $330 million domestically. So if it does anywhere near that or over, which is a very good possibility, that is definitely a reachable number. That would be a big win. Now, do I think it's going to topple the 870 plus million that Batman versus Superman got worldwide? I don't think it's going to do that much internationally. I think if it does anywhere near 600 to 700 million, I think DC and Warner Brothers will be doing just tremendous backflips, because that's exactly what they should be expecting and hoping that the film will garner. If they do 300-400 million, 500 million, that's still definitely a pretty good win indeed. And I'm just hoping, like we both said, there's going to be some great things and great word of mouth that will hopefully not cause it to have that humongous second week drop that the previous DC films had. I think the good word of mouth is going to spread, so that I think it will prevent against that. I don't think you'll see such a large drop, and I think it will have some longer legs than those movies indeed, especially here in the U.S. So there you go right there. We have strong hopes indeed for the Wonder Woman film. Definitely think it's going to be something that the whole family will enjoy, and definitely think it's going to be something to reignite and kickstart the DC universe. And on our Monday show, we'll recap the weekend, and we'll just find out for sure. We'll share our thoughts exactly on the film itself, our opinions, and then also we'll recap to see if it does indeed get off to a great start and reignite that DC movie franchise. Well, we have a great show here tonight. Just awesome to have you aboard and listening to our show. We truly appreciate it. And before we hit anything else, including another cut from the great What About This podcast, we've got a clip from Plasma Z. This is level 1, and this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm here along with my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend from Humanity Media. It's Josh Peterson. If you have any questions for us as far as, topics to cover, or just basically any questions for us at all and stuff that we already have covered, don't forget you can send us a line at any point in time, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, Josh, there's a lot of great things to go over as far as from the pop culture land, but there was actually one thing I wanted to discuss with you as far as from the collectible standpoint. And we haven't talked collectibles in a little while. I know you and I, we collect every now and then. We've got our Funko Pops, we got all the great things, the fidget spinners that are out there, and all that good stuff. So I ask you, Josh, speaking of Pops, they've been out a little while now. They've virtually gotten every license they could get their hands on. And they recently announced a new line of Game of Thrones and the Kingsmen added to this. So that's pretty much left. I don't know. There's not too many licenses they can go after at this point that I can think of, because they've pretty much got a handle on everything that's out there, whether it's from the video game world, like I've got Nathan Drake here, obviously DC, Marvel, Star Wars. They got all those covered as far as all realms of pop culture. And you can see these pretty much in almost every general department, toy store, odds and ends store. My gosh, even our friends at Retro City Games, Nicole and Doug, they sell them as well. So I want to ask you, Josh, given all that information, and Pops is pretty much the past 2 years have really come on like gangbusters, do you see that there may be a tipping point as far as the popularity of Pops are concerned? And do you think maybe it's not exactly the great collectible it once was?
I think everything happens in fads. Do you remember, Beanie Babies, Pogs, Pokemon cards? I think it all
Garbage
happened.
Pail Kids.
Garbage Pail Kids, yeah, those still pop up every once in a while. But I think it all happens in fads. I think, right now it's popular. You go into a GameStop, they have walls and walls of these things. You go into comic book stores, they have Funko Pops and all this other stuff. Basically, like I don't know, it's one of those things where it's hard to, it'll be hard to know for sure until people stop buying them, because as long as they keep announcing new products and people are still excited to go buy them, it's one of those things. Like I don't, I don't have any reason to buy these things, but yet I go into GameStop and I'm like, oh, cool, look, they have Funko Pops from Silicon Valley. That would be rad. And I end up spending money on something I didn't know that I wanted. So it's
like everybody else.
Yeah. So it's like, will there be a point when people stop like going, hey, this is coming out and I need it? Yes, there will be a point when that happens. But will there be a point when they walk into a GameStop, which is basically GameStop / Hot Topic, and they see these things on the wall and they're like, I mean, that'd be kind of, who wouldn't want to own a claptrap,
Or ThinkGeek, or, but they're just trying to keep the doors open by providing a lot more, because obviously their standard business model that they were, so used to for so many years, it's not exactly as strong as it once was, due to obviously digital distribution. So they have to try everything and then some to get people's attention, and selling Pops, maybe that's the ticket. But we're going to E3 here in a couple of weeks, and I can just tell you right now, what are the odds that there's not going to be someone that's going to be selling some Pops of some kind of some video game characters? There's probably going to be something out there that we can get that's pop related indeed. So it's something that definitely, I don't know if that's saturated. Whether or not you want to say it's oversaturated, that's your call. I think it's getting borderline oversaturated onto the marketplace. I think that eventually at some point it's maybe another year out of this, then as far as on top, then maybe you'll start seeing something else take over the top spot. We'll have to wait and see. But, Josh, as a collector who doesn't want to be a collector, who goes into a store and then becomes a collector, what are some of the ones that you actually target besides Silicon Valley when you go and look for collectibles?
As far as the Funko Pop figures go?
Well, pretty much that, or do you follow other type of collectibles? Because me, I go for lanyards. I dig lanyards and whatnot. I've got quite a collection, unfortunately. Whether you can call it hoarding, fine, whatever. But I just call it masterful collecting. But are there some collectibles that you like to go to outside of the pop world?
Yeah, I mean, right now, like I like, I got some action figures over there, but I like video game action figures. Like I bought some Gears of War ones, Assassin's Creed. I got Prototype. Um, I even got Fascist Stampede from the Trigun anime. But I like, I'll spend money on these toys, retro toys. I'll go into Toys R Us sometimes to buy stuff for my nephew and come out with like $60 worth of stuff for me. And I do like T-shirts.
And you get like maybe like a $5 gift card for your
Oh,
nephew.
dude, it's true. Have you ever been into a Toys R Us? They have those retro toy aisles, and like the other day, I almost, not other day, but it was a while ago, I almost dropped, like $60 on a retro Aliens action figure set that had Bill Paxton and Sergeant Hicks inside of it. And I was like, that's rad. But
Did it
beyond,
have Sigourney Weaver's character and Martine? Was it Private Martinez, Sergeant Martinez?
yeah, they had all of those. You could buy them separately. You could buy the Xenomorphs and the big loader. But besides that, it's just I have a big thing with T-shirts now. So I recently bought Super Mario T-shirt, Legend of Zelda T-shirt. I've got the hockey ones with Thrice on them. I like to collect T-shirts. It's just
Same here. I like to, and that, I kind of dig wearing T-shirts as well, as far as all the Marvels, and I've got like a ton of Star Wars and whatnot. So our collection definitely is big indeed. I'm hoping at E3 we can any video game developers and video game publisher out there, you know how to get in good with us. Well, okay, we'll still give you unbiased opinions and whatnot, but we would be so happy if you could just maybe flow a T-shirt here or two here our way. That would be really cool for some of our games indeed. So we even wear them on the air for you. How about that? So yeah, I always like to go, when we go to E3 and see if we can get a little bit of swag, so to speak. So, but if you out there have thoughts on Funko Pops, exactly, how long do you think this incredible sensation is going to last? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Like I said, I think I see maybe one more big holiday of it, and then maybe something supplanting it as the go-to ticket. Maybe even Funko's creation as well. They'll have something else down the line that'll replace it. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Game Source, Humanican Media, and also Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Great to be back here with you. Check us out every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. Also, as well, we have our sister show, the #1 show, 3 months, and I'm hoping it'll be 4 months in a row, the Pop Culture Cosmos show. Either which way, we just truly appreciate you listening to our shows. The Pop Culture Cosmos show, every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, also on the Podcast Radio Network. And if you can't catch our shows live on the Podcast Radio Network as they air, tell you what, you can always download our shows on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, podcast.com, Mixcloud, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, the Gonna Geek Network as well, the Ace Podcast Network, and Overcast.fm. And if you download our shows at any point in time, either the Pop Culture Cosmos and PCC or PCC Multiverse, you will get an extra bonus episode from either Humanican Media, Rob McCallum Films, Wine, Women, and Words, or Game Source as well, just for listening. So, Josh, we are at the halfway point of 2017. There's been a lot of great things that we've seen so far this year. and a lot of great things we've actually played, and a lot of great things we've actually just watched on TV or streaming service as well. So I want to get your thoughts on the best TV or video that you've actually seen program that you've seen this year, the best film that you've seen this year so far, and also the best video game you've played so far this year.
Okay, wait. Best show that I've seen. Was that the first one?
Yeah, best show, TV show, or you can go movie, or you can go video game first. Your choice, any order. Just which is the best media that you've seen from all three of these genres?
I'm trying to remember. I want to say Stranger Things is my pick here, but I think that came out last year. So I'm gonna go with. I haven't watched a lot of TV this year, I noticed. So what I have been into is Black Sails. So I'm gonna say the ending of Black Sails was quite epic as far as that goes. But let's movies. Okay, so best movie I've seen this year. You're gonna disagree with me highly, but I'm gonna say King Arthur. Gerald.
I disagree with you highly.
Gerald. No, it's maybe I just haven't seen enough movies this year, but yeah, that was the most entertaining to me. And what was the last one? Best video game?
Yes, the best video game that you've played this year.
Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. That is that's my pick right there. It was one of those because I had gone into it never playing a Zelda game before. Like I started was the one that came out on Wii, and I didn't finish it. I played it for like an hour and then I stopped. But this one actually is the first time I played a Zelda game from start to finish. It looked beautiful, played beautiful. It was intriguing, it was fun, and it was just an all-around good time. And now my Switch is collecting dust, so that's cool.
Well, that's what we had anticipated with a lot of other users, that once they've gone all out on Super Mario Kart and also as well The Legend of Zelda, that there really wasn't much left. The ARMS demo that came out was a great way to try and keep that interest, but I don't know if it's going to keep a lot of fans' interest long term. But we'll see. ARMS, hopefully when it comes out, will definitely will hopefully reignite that love for Nintendo Switch that people have. Otherwise, it's going to be a little while before anything comes out worthwhile on the Switch. But I can tell you honestly that from what I've seen in all appearances this year, it looks like the hands down so far at this point, especially with Red Dead Redemption 2 not going to be coming this year, looks like, I don't want to say you can already give them the title, but it looks like at this point, if you don't agree that Legend of Zelda is the best game this year, then I don't know, you might be missing the point, because I give it to Nintendo. They really know how to every now and then bring out a game that's worth playing across the board. So definitely Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild looks like it's going to be the game of the year at this point, but there's a half the year to go, so you can't give it totally to them yet. But I think the universal praise indeed is well worth it and well warranted. Although there's some that disagree. I know we talked about in the past that there's some individuals, like for instance Doug and Nicole at Retro City Games, they didn't love it as much as a lot of other individuals have. But when there's been, that's the one thing, I think there's not been a whole lot of great games that have come out to this point that have really stood out beyond Legend of the Wild. Breath of the Wild. I mean, Neo. I know some JRPGs have come out there that have made a nice imprint so far this year as well. But I just think at this point in time, you have to give it to Zelda at this point in time. As far as TV shows are concerned, I was thinking about that for quite a while. I haven't seen, again, it's been a little bit of a down year for television on the quality of television so far. Because Westworld really was kind of all over the place for me, depending on the episode. I probably have to say Into the Badlands. If you get a chance to see Into the Badlands, I think it will surprise you on the fact that it's quality. It's not just all about the the interplay with the martial arts and whatnot, that it actually does have some substance and does have some story, and I hope people will get a chance to see it and stick to it. It's been renewed again for another season, so obviously it's doing well for AMC. So definitely it looks like it's a strong pick indeed, as far as a very solid series to get behind, Into the Badlands indeed. And for movie, sorry Josh, it's not going to be King Arthur. I do apologize for that. That's going to be mentioned in here in a little bit, but for something else, unfortunately. But I will say that if you get a chance to see Get Out, that is definitely the surprise so far. I haven't seen John Wick 2. I'm planning to see John Wick 2 very soon. And also as well, Fate of the Furious. I'm hoping to see that as well in the near future. But for right now, I have to probably say Get Out. Get Out leads the contenders as far as so far for me for best movie at the halfway point. Josh, any thoughts on what I had to say? Go ahead. You can critique me now if you want.
Sorry, what did you say your game was?
The game was I'm agreeing with you on Zelda.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I never saw Get Out. I wanted to. Everyone keeps telling me to watch it, so eventually I'm gonna have to sit down and watch it. But
it's statement aside, I think it is just really just a quality film effort. I just see the direction of it, as far as the way it goes about telling its tale and telling its narrative was really well done.
yeah, I mean, that's what I hear. I don't, what political statements, whatever, but it looks like a well done movie, well crafted, well directed, and I'm really kind of disappointed that Jordan Peele didn't want to take on Akira, because that could have been something magical.
I know, yes, the second time you mentioned that. So definitely, I think maybe it's just I don't want to say a destined to fail type project, but if you don't go all the way in to it and you don't make it, if you don't make it a really high quality film, you excuse me, you're not going to be able to get out of it what you want to get out of it, and there's going to be a lot of backlash, don't you think? Like Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's true. That's true, but it's eventually you're going to have to take a chance on something. I mean, what we've learned this year is that
I mean, there's a difference from stepping in and helming the Uncharted movie than going maybe something that's so iconic, like doing a live action version of Akira.
Yeah, but what we're learning this year, or what I'm learning from critics, is that they don't like original concepts. They don't like original concepts that aren't aimed at, your Grammys. They don't have your, your whatever, your diversity, your social issues, whatever it is. They don't like movies that are just out to have fun. Like, if it's not franchise based. Yes, exactly. If it's not franchise based, then it's just something that it's going to have a really hard time getting past some of these snobby critics that are out there.
Sorry about that. My girls put this on the desk. I don't know how they found it. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on as far as the way that they're perceiving films at this point in time, even though I'm hoping some of these movies that this past week that got really some glowing reviews, including, did you hear this? An Adam Sandler movie possibly being targeted as far as a high Oscar contender later on this year. What if you got word on that?
What's he being nominated for?
Well, he got very high honors for a recent film that he did with Ben Stiller and I believe Dustin Hoffman. Let me check on that. But here, while I'm checking on that, just want to close out your thoughts on the year as a whole. Do you think it's a good year for media, or do you think it's been a lackluster year for media as a whole, from gaming, movies, and television?
I think it's been an okay year. We've had a lot of flops, both in movies, video games, television shows. Obviously, Mass Effect was unexpected. Obviously King Arthur to me was unexpected. There's a lot of hit and miss, and I think I know we discussed this before, but when Spielberg said that we have these big franchises that basically rule Hollywood, and once one of these and so much of the industry is reliant on these, and once one of them fails, it's going to eventually lead to an implosion of the industry, and thus it's going to be up to indie filmmakers to start delivering content, original stories for people. So the future is definitely interesting. I'm stoked about Blade Runner and Dark Tower, so hopefully those movies don't bomb and get snubbed by critics.
I hope they don't disappoint as well. And Adam Sandler's movie that he is in is the Meyerowitz stories that both he and Ben Stiller and also I believe who did I mention? Oh yes, Dustin Hoffman. They're all play a major role in, but his role has been singled out as being one of the finest at Cannes this year. So definitely something to look forward to indeed. But your thoughts on the 2017 halfway point so far? What are some of your picks as far as games, television, and movies? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Plus also as well, Humanity Media, Pop Culture Cosmos, and Game Source as well. And we're back here on the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos. We're here to close out the show. I'm here along with my good friend. He's the man, myth, the legend behind Humanity Media. It's Josh Peterson. Before we get out on this great program today, before we head on out, and also as well before we touch on our last subject of the day, Josh, once again, what's going on with the wonderful stuff and wonderful projects and all the great podcasts known or coming from Humanity Media?
Yeah, just the same old stuff. You got Super BS coming at you this week, new topic Apocalypse. Next week there'll be new What About This, but in the meantime, check out the last episode of What About This, which is available now on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, or various podcasting outlets. And also check out the article I wrote relating to the previous episode of What About This, now on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com.
Well, I thought we would close out the show with a little bit of fun topic that you and I can go back and forth on. And I know you and I have both had those experiences where we sat in a movie or watched it on television or whatnot and just go, what happened to my life? That was 2 hours I'll never get back. Things of that nature where you just really just maybe regretted the decision to sit down and watch the film as a whole. I recently had the displeasure of watching Black Hat. I never caught it when it came out in January 2015, starring Chris Hemsworth, and directed by somebody I really, really enjoy films from. In fact, one of his films is actually on my top 25 all time, Michael Mann, obviously the creator of Miami Vice and Heat and plenty of other good movies, Manhunter, whatnot. Made Black Hat with Chris Hemsworth. It's regarding a hacker who's brought back out of jail in order to try and stop someone from causing mass destruction. I got to tell you, this movie was a stinker from start to finish and had one of the worst scenes. I'm 48 years old now. 48 years old. I've seen a lot of films. I don't know how many, but it would probably have to be in the thousands by now. And I'm not kidding when I say that. There's had to be one of the worst sequences that I've ever seen, just from a standpoint of ludicrousy and just idiots. Let me ask you this, Josh. If you're going if you see a car that blows up, mind you, two people get into the mind you, three people are in the car, but yet you wait for two people that you're going to try to kill anyways to get out of the car before you blow up the car. Then on top of that, while you're trying to shoot the unarmed people from a distance, spoilers here, by the way, from a distance, when they're unarmed, when you can just walk up and bang, 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 and you're still doing it from a distance while you're wearing body armor and have Uzis, you get a car that drives up with your friends driving up, and start shooting from behind, catching them by surprise. But instead of staying behind, you drive up around where they're shooting so that you can get in front of them. And when you get in front of them, you step out of the car, not looking for any cover, and just going and pointing and shoot. Mind you, these people have body armor and Uzis still shooting at you. And basically, your time is numbered right there on the screen. I just had to I saw that and just my mind was blown at someone who, actually was aspiring to do television and film at some point of his life, just seeing how bad it was constructed and from a director that's truly revered. Just, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what the crew was thinking. I don't know what the script writer was thinking. It just had to be one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in cinema. So along with that, I saw King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. I'm sorry.
Wait. Before you go into this, your first one reminds me of how I play Splinter Cell, and it never worked out very well for me.
But that exactly, just the logic involved. When you get a chance, you probably can YouTube it, the scene out there in Black Hat, and it just has to be, from a logistic standpoint, probably one of the dumbest scenes I've ever seen in my life. And just, the whole movie is a slog and just really a bad experience. And I can tell you also as well, like I said, King of the Arthur, Legend of the Sword is not a very pleasant experience as well. And I explained that on one of our previous episodes why that is. And I'm sorry, Josh.
And you're wrong. It's
I'm wrong, and I might be
wrong.
wrong, and I'm wrong. I apologize, but numbers don't lie right now, Josh. So that's all I say with that. But those are some of the ones that I regret going through. And then also, recent ones like Warcraft. That was really 2 hours taken out of my life. I want back. And then obviously the DC disasters from a critical standpoint, not necessarily from monetary range, but Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman, which were tied for my worst film of the year of last year. Those were some of the recent movies that I regret. And it's not my top 10 worst all time. They could be on my list. They could not be on the list. I know at some point in time I'm going to have to, like a bad memory, just jot all those down and write down one of these days, write down a list of my 10 top worst films of all time. I don't know how I could say top, but maybe bottom 10 worst films of all the time, that from my era or from my thoughts. So I'm going to have to do that at some point in time. But Josh, tell us your stories about some films that you really regret you ever watched.
Okay, okay, let's talk about this. There's one movie.
If you see that scene in Black Hat, you will. The first thing is, Gerald, you were right.
All right, I'm gonna Google it. But so there's remember back when the Scorpion King came out with The Rock. This is like way back when, after The Mummy Returns. But
that's some of the most horrid CG ever.
Oh, for real. But as a kid, I didn't regret watching it. I was like, oh, it was cool. But I remember specifically my mom. I was hanging out with my mom and sister. I think I was in like the 3rd or 4th grade or something. No, maybe 6th grade, something 6th or 7th grade. That sounds more like it. But they're like, hey, if you come to lunch with us, we're gonna take you to see the Scorpion King. It's like, oh, sweet, let's go see this movie. We get to the movie theater. They buy the tickets, go into the movie theater, and guess what? They tricked me into watching A Walk to Remember. And so that experience will forever haunt me. And had I gone to see that movie, maybe like willingly, I don't know if I would ever go see it willingly. Maybe I'd be like, oh, that's a decent movie, but the circumstances made me hate
so I'll
it.
ask this: how bad were you traumatized?
I was pretty traumatized. Like, I remember my sister bought the movie when it came out on VHS or whatever, and I was just like, I was having flashbacks. Even now on Netflix, I like skip past it as fast as I can whenever I get to like a genre that it's on. Yeah, so you dropped that link there. I'll check it out. But yeah, so
the whole movie as a whole, Black Hat. I mean, because Chris Hemsworth, he's done a great job in a lot of other films, and yes, he does a great Thor, outstanding Thor indeed. But his accent was just really bad in this film, and just the movie stunk. That's all I say. It just cannot speak any lower of it. And FX just recently brought out and watched the director's cut, and you know what? It didn't make the movie any better.
Oh, sorry. Yawning. Okay, but yeah, as far as like this year goes, I think the worst movie that I've seen is I just sat down and tried to watch The Great Wall with Matt Damon, and whew, buddy, let me tell you about that one. All right, that was, whitewashing aside, which it, that that
I saw
is
that one too. Yes, yes, definitely.
that
That
the
was
white.
really bad too.
Oh, dude, the whitewashing, not least of my concerns. If you're more concerned about the whitewashing than how bad the movie was, you got to rethink your priorities, because this movie was truly bad. I got about 30 minutes into it, and I have never stopped watching a movie halfway through, never ever, because I have this obsession with seeing how things end. But I shut it off, could not watch any more of it. Did not care to sit there and watch another minute of that movie. It's just nothing about it was interesting to me.
Well, I can't agree with you more on the Great Wall. It looked like it really was Matt Damon going for a paycheck. I know people that watched it with me liked it a little bit more than I did, but it definitely looked like it was a paycheck grab, a money grab. And how can you fault Matt Damon for doing so?
Yeah, but that just it's not his acting style. Listening to him trying to sit there and talk like a tough European warrior, it just did not work. It sounded stupid. But yeah, I mean, and going forward, Resident Evil was pretty bad, but that's kind of expected.
But Resident Evil makes a ton of money. In fact, this last one made it cost what 40-50 million dollars to make, and they made almost $400 million in return as far as worldwide, because they do such a huge international base. And even though comparative to some of the other films, it didn't do quite as well financially. When you're leaving on your seventh one.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at least they got to close the series out. Oh, also, Pirates was pretty bad.
But I ask you, this is why they're talking about doing another 6-pack of Resident Evil, because no matter how bad those movies are, people still, yeah. And to me, that's a little bit different, because Resident Evil series, it's almost like B movie entertainment. So you're almost not expecting something good to happen with it. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, I was expecting something pretty good. I was expecting something, hopefully, that would be that I could go ahead and say to the fans and to listeners and to the critics out there that pan the movie, that I stand behind my good friend Josh Peterson, and I can tell you that King Arthur Legend Sword is a truly great movie. And then I watched the film, and unfortunately, I am with those critics and the fans.
But you're wrong, so it's okay.
But I'm wrong. But I digress. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting with Resident Evil. We're kind of at the cusp, at the edge, the ending chapter of this obsession that society has with, like, oh, hey, zombies are cool. Let's turn zombies into a pop culture phenomenon. Like, even fans of The Walking Dead and critics who have been following The Walking Dead are like, I like The Walking Dead, but I really want it to end. So I think that, having more Resident Evil movies is either going to be a great idea or a terrible idea, but we're nearing the end of the zombie interest. Pretty soon it's going to be something else, I imagine.
Well, I would like to see them have a cure on The Walking Dead. That's all I'll say. I'm one of those fans of The Walking Dead that shows up when it gets good and when the series doesn't stay good. Like parts of this year, I just tune it out and just wake me up when it gets good again, because that's for me. There are there are seasons which are really good with The Walking Dead. Then there are seasons that make you question why you're a fan. And definitely with I think everybody was excited to see Negan when it comes to The Walking Dead, but the way, and I'm not going to kid you on the portrayal of Negan himself, as best you can do without the swearing, it's very good, but there's just he just over envelops the entire thing, where it's just I don't know. I think everybody that was watching was so drained especially after that first episode. It's just, I think it just was all downhill from there, and it's going to take a while to revive that series, because they still do the ratings, and so if you're still doing the ratings, you got to keep that show in the air. But that's beside the point on that. But yeah, definitely some really when you're watching a movie that really just you want to get better and you hope to get better pretty much the entire way, and it doesn't. That's one of the most deflating things for you, because you realize you want to sit down and watch it for entertainment, and you want to enjoy, relax, and really have a way to escape. And when you don't get a chance to, because you're so preoccupied with such the junk that's thrown on the screen, like I saw in Black Hat, like I saw in The Great Wall, and like I saw King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Um, yeah, it's very discouraging indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on watching films of recent note that maybe struck a chord with you in a negative fashion? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And the reason why I didn't say Humanity Media, because if you send nasty thoughts about King Arthur, Legend of the Sword to Humanity Media, you might not like the response that you get back.
Because you're wrong.
Because you're wrong. That should be a nice t-shirt. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, because you're wrong. Indeed. So
we're working on it.
We're working on it. Okay, fair enough. All righty. Well, that's going to do it for our show this time, but we truly appreciate you listening. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening, and here's hoping you have yourself a great day.